Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Heart and Health Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Welch, and I'm so glad that you are here. If you're watching, you can see I'm keeping it real casual today. I've got the overalls on. We went to the park this morning, and now it's nap time, so I'm going to get this recorded real quick. If you're not watching, just know that that's always an option, either with Spotify or YouTube. You can tune in and watch the video. Every now and then there will be a cat that comes through. But yeah, just know that that's an option. This is your first time here. I'm so glad that you're here. We talk everything about wellness, not just your mental health, but also how you take care of your body and your relationships and your spiritual self and how you have purpose and meaning in life. All of those things are really important here. So today we're going to talk about what it's like when you get stuck, what that feels like, why it happens, what you might notice as symptoms or signs of that happening, and then how to kind of help yourself get out of that, depending on which area of your wellness you might be feeling stuck in. So that's what we're going to do. It's the middle of the year. Actually, we're right past the middle of the year now. So we're kind of on the tail end of 2025. And so sometimes it can be tempting to just kind of throw out all your goals and say, well, that didn't happen this year. We'll try again in January. But I think there's still an opportunity to kind of evaluate how you did the first half of the year and what you still want to be able to accomplish or focus on in terms of bettering yourself and your overall health and wellness in the second half of the year, especially with some of those holidays coming up, can get to be a really stressful, difficult time of year. So it's important that we're taking care of ourselves. So that's what we're going to focus on today. As with everything that we do with Heart and Health Wellness, I like to keep it nice and simple. We do not have to overcomplicate this. And so I'm going to give you some tools and techniques that you can take away from today's conversation to hopefully be able to implement into your daily life starting today or this week. Also, a quick note, if you have been listening for a while, you may have noticed that I took the whole month of July off, and this past week was the first episode to come out in over 5 weeks. And I needed that break because I was just feeling really overwhelmed. We had family visiting. There were some big transitions in our life going on. And I had every intention of being able to continue to post week after week during the month of July. And when it got here, I realized that it was best for me to practice what I preach and just take a step back and kind of ease back into things. So last week, I shared an episode that I had recorded way back in June. This is the first episode that I'm recording now that we are in August, and I feel more rested and energized, and I took good care of myself because I put into practice what I tell you to do. And so we're ready to keep going. But thank you for allowing me that space to take a break. And I hope that you are able to allow yourself to take a break when you need one too. But I do want to talk about what it was that I was noticing about myself and what you might be noticing about yourself when it is time to take a break. Sometimes with the way culture is, we are encouraged to just push through and keep going when our body is actually screaming, please slow down. I need to take a breath. And I'll be really honest, it's hard for me as someone who's usually like a go-getter, go, 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 to put on the brakes and step back for a moment. But there were some things that I was noticing that we're going to talk about today that you might notice as well that I think are worthwhile to listen to. Sometimes that looks like feeling stuck, right? So you're not really sure which way to turn, what to focus on, what to put your energy into, or even worse, sometimes it feels like you're putting all of your energy out into the world trying to get things going and you're just kind of spinning in place and you're like, why isn't any of this working? And it can feel really frustrating, overwhelming, and quite exhausting. So just know that if that is you and you have been feeling that way, I'm going to walk you through today how to give yourself a full whole person evaluation to see where that's coming up for you, what that looks like, and then give you some practical steps for what to do to make it better. First of all, I want to talk about how this feeling of being stuck is actually a very normal human experience, and it's not because there's something wrong with you or that you handled the situation in your life incorrectly or anything like that. Feeling stuck is just a normal thing that we come across sometimes. And so sometimes that feels like it creeps up on us very slowly and gradually. And suddenly one day we wake up and we go, oh my goodness, how did we even get to this point? And it's just, you know, change after change after change, or a long season of stress, or a big relationship shift, or a work change, or a move, or something like that. And then sometimes it's just boom, a big event happens in your life, and suddenly you feel like you need to just hit the brakes because you don't know how you can possibly move forward when that thing just took place. Either way, those are very normal human experiences, and it is part of life, one of the many challenges that we experience in life. And it can feel really overwhelming, especially if you felt like you were doing pretty good. And then all of a sudden you find yourself here and you're going, oh my goodness, what now? So if we think about this from a very scientific perspective, it's when your nervous system is going off and saying, there's danger around, something isn't right, we need to pay attention to this and figure out what might be harming us or what might create some problems in our life, and we need to protect ourselves from it. Your nervous system is connected to that reptilian part of your brain. It's the very instinctual part of the brain that tries to keep you alive and keep you safe. So when we are feeling like we are under attack and our brain wants to protect us, there's 4 responses to that that we usually see. It's either fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. Now, fight is usually, when you're going up and you're going to hit it head on, kind of go back after it. Flight is when we're like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm exiting stage left and getting out of here. Fawn is when you really try to people please and take care of that situation, just seeing what you can do. And then freeze is when literally we don't know what to do. And so we just stop. And so that can look like lots of different things, including procrastination. My favorite thing to call it is productive procrastination. I find all of the other things that need to be done around the house or whatever without doing the thing that I actually need to work on. It can also look like having brain fog, where you're just not able to think clearly and there are things that need to get done, but you just feel so clouded and distracted by it all. Or it can look like not having the energy to do what you need to do and just feeling totally exhausted. You're not going up after it. You're not running from it. You're not even trying to people please to take care of all the little things. You know what needs to be done, but you just feel like you don't have the energy to do it. And all of those are very normal, bodily responses to this kind of stress and feeling overwhelmed. So the good news out of all of that, as frustrating as it is when you find yourself in those situations, is that there is always something that you can do to try and improve it a little bit. Okay. So there are solutions to this problem that you can implement that don't cost money, that don't take a lot of time, and that you don't need to go get therapy for. Okay. I am a therapist myself, believe in the power of therapy, but sometimes people don't have access to it. You don't have time for it. You don't have money for it, or it's just not for you. I get it, and that's okay. There are things that you can actually implement, and I'm going to help teach you those things along the way. So first thing that I want to do is break down some of those signs or symptoms, the red flag moments that come up in each of those different domains of health that I like to talk about all the time. So I like to follow the framework called the Biopsychosocial Spiritual Model. And so we're going to look at the biological, psychological, social, and spiritual domains of your health and what those symptoms might look like in each of those domains. So as someone who works in a primary care setting, I see the biological symptoms show up for people a lot, and they come to their primary care doctor saying my body's not working, here's some issues. And then inevitably my resident physicians or my colleague physicians will come grab me and have me help from a behavioral perspective so that people can tie these physical symptoms along with what's going on for them emotionally or psychologically. Okay, so some of those physical symptoms might things like having really intense headaches or having nausea, feeling like you're going to get sick every day when you wake up, not having an appetite, or suddenly eating way too much, maybe even getting sick because your immune system is being brought down by the amount of chronic stress that you're undergoing. Could also be disrupting your sleep, where you are wanting to sleep all day long, or you're not sleeping well at all and you're constantly tossing and turning. So these are just some of the symptoms that might show up for you physically to say, hey, there's an issue going on here. I know for me personally, when I notice that I'm starting to be snacky and craving things like sweets or baked goods, I love those things all the time. Don't get me wrong. But when I'm under an immense amount of stress, I tend to go for those things even more because they're creating an opportunity for me to get that comfort and that ease. But that's a good signal for me hey, you're wanting to snack a lot more than usual. Maybe you're feeling a little bit stressed. Let's check in with that. So in that psychological domain, it might look like being really irritable, snippy, short with yourself, short with others, having a lot of negative self-talk, so stupid for doing that. I shouldn't have handled it that way. Why am I not smarter about these things? That was irresponsible. Just like talking down to yourself, not talking to yourself in a way that you would talk to a friend or someone that you actually care about and love, right? So when we get down on ourselves that way, it's a really good sign that there's something going on there. This might also include that lack of motivation or just feeling kind of numb to things that would normally bring you joy suddenly are just not that interesting, not something that you want to engage in, or you don't feel like you have the energy and the motivation to do it, even if it sounds like it would be fun. So for example, y'all know that I love to make my sourdough. I actually made some sourdough pancakes for breakfast this morning. It was lots of fun and they were delicious. But for me, if I notice that something like mixing my sourdough starter or making something with sourdough feels like more of a chore and not something that I'm going to be enjoying and doing for fun as like a mindful activity, that's a good sign that I'm not doing well overall, right? Because that's normally something that I really enjoy and I like to do. Now, for that social domain, some of these red flags might look like social isolation, pulling away from family and friends. Maybe normally you enjoy calling somebody every day to keep in touch, and now suddenly you'd rather just be quiet and by yourself on your way home in the car or whatever when you might normally make those phone calls. Sending a text message, responding to a text message might feel like more of a burden than it is something that's enjoyable. Those are good signs that you're definitely pulling back and not really having that energy that you normally would have to engage and be interactive with others. Sometimes you might still be interacting with others, still going to church and showing up, but not having that connection or feeling lonely and isolated, even when you're surrounded by a lot of people. And then spiritually, this might look like feeling kind of lost, not knowing what your direction is, where you should be headed, lacking that purpose that you normally feel really fueled by, or like it gives you a lot of energy and fulfillment, suddenly is just not that great, kind of feeling blah, right? About the things that normally give you life, give you joy. And it's just kind of meh. So I would encourage you, as I'm talking through all of these things, think about what is it that's showing up for you. And maybe you're doing just fine right now and there's none of these things showing up. And if that's the case, I'm really happy for you. And I think that's fabulous. Lock it away that these are the signs to watch for later. But maybe you are experiencing some of these signs and symptoms right now. And if that's the case, notice which of those signs are popping up for you. And that might be the area of your wellness that really needs some more attention and more care right now. As a side note, if you've not already taken the Wellness Blind Spot quiz, go take it. It's free. It takes less than 3 minutes to do it. I'll include the link for it down in the show notes, but it's a fun way to, I don't know if fun's the right word. It's a quick and easy way to identify which area of your biopsychosocial spiritual wellness that you may be kind of unintentionally neglecting. But even if you don't take it, listen to these signs and symptoms, notice which red flags are going off for you and which area you might be needing help in. Okay, before we move on to talk about how to actually do the reset part, I want to take a moment to talk about one of my favorite small businesses that is wonderful for moms. It's called We Are Ama. It's a small business owned by women based in the United States, and they make lovely gifts for moms, new moms, ongoing moms, whatever. So my necklace is actually from We Are Ama. It was a beautiful Mother's Day gift that I received this year. The nursing cover that I absolutely loved when we were in that season of life is from We Are Ama. It was breathable, comfortable, stylish, all the things. We still use it as a blanket or like a cover on his stroller sometimes. Fabulous gift. I'm so very thankful for it. If you would like to check that out, if you have a new mom in your life, you need to get a gift for her, something like that, go check them out. I'll include their link down in my show notes. And if you use the code Melissa, Melissa, you get 15% off your full order and it helps support the show. And I really do appreciate that. But this is a fabulous company. Fully support them. And I think they make wonderful stuff. So if you've got a new mom you need to shop for, definitely check them out. Okay, so now let's talk about how to actually do this reset. And I'm going to walk you through some of the things that you can do for each of these different areas. And remember, I'm all about keeping things nice and simple and science backed. So these are real tools that have been proven by science to help you. And it is not something where you need to do some crazy overhaul, totally exhaust yourself. You don't need to be going and buying things for this. Like, these are simple tools that you can have ready for you. I will say this before we break them down, it's important to know what they are and practice them when you're doing okay, so that when you are in that season of life where you feel really overwhelmed, you're ready to go. So for example, like deep breathing, I regularly practice deep breathing on my own, like in my car when I'm doing fine, because that way, when I'm feeling really stressed, my body can naturally go back to that. Okay. So these are tools that I want you to have in your toolbox, but just hearing about them now and not doing anything with it may not be as helpful as it could be if you really try to practice these things when you're doing well. Okay. So for biological, whether that's the area that you're really struggling in, or this is just something that you'd like to do, one of the best things that you can do is when you get up in the morning, get up and get moving. Now, that could be as simple as sitting on the edge of your bed and doing some stretching. You can do kind of like chair yoga style stuff. You can get up and actually do some yoga in your living room. You could go for a walk. You could get on a stationary bike. You could, just get on the floor and do some stretches. It doesn't have to be really intense, and it doesn't have to take a long time. Now, if you want to go for a 30-minute walk, that's fabulous, but it can be nice and simple, especially if it's first thing in the morning and you haven't even had your coffee yet. Okay. Just that 5 minutes in the morning can be a nice, simple way to kind of signal to your body, all right, it's time to get up, time to go, and we can do this. Another very important thing that you can do is protect your sleep. So that means having a regular routine in the evening so that your body knows that it's time to wind down and go to sleep, and trying your hardest to go to sleep close to the same time every evening, even if it's within a 30-minute window. So between 9 and 9:30 or 9 and 10, something like that. Making sure that your body has a rhythm and a routine to follow is very, very important. Getting up in the morning at the same time, also very important. Now, I will say, now that I have a little one, a toddler who is on a pretty strict schedule, that makes it nice and easy. I don't even need an alarm anymore. He does that job and wakes me up in the mornings. But you can set an alarm for yourself even on the weekend to make sure that you're not sleeping in too much. I know for the people who like to sleep in, you're not going to like to hear that, but it's good for the body to have a structure and a routine where you're getting to bed at the same time and getting up in the morning at relatively the same time every day. Okay, now when it comes to psychological things, one of the things we talked about was that negative self-talk. So improving the way we talk to ourselves is actually really crucial. And again, we want to talk to ourselves like we're talking to a friend. So in the morning, as soon as you get up, you can call it a mantra, whatever you want to call it, but just say like, hey, I'm going to have a good day today, regardless of what happens. I'm prepared for it. I know I can handle it. And I'm going to try to, I don't know, embody that person that I want to be. Okay. So how we talk to ourselves as soon as we wake up in the morning is really crucial. You can also use this as an opportunity to set a really small goal. If there's one thing you want to get done today, or if there's one thing you want to focus on or try to do, you can kind of tell yourself that as soon as you start the day. This is my goal. Make sure that it's realistic and that you can actually achieve it. We don't want to set ourselves up for failure from the very beginning. So pick a goal that's going to be achievable. Remember that those small wins are just as helpful as the really big goals that we like to set for ourselves. So pick something little that's going to help you build that momentum towards something that you're trying to achieve. You can also use a tool, we've talked about this before, of habit stacking. And so that's taking something that you want to do and build it onto something you've already done. So for me, I really try to be good about taking my vitamins or my greens every day. The best thing that I can do to make sure that that actually happens is putting my vitamins next to my toothbrush. So I brush my teeth, then I take my vitamins. It's right there with my allergy medicine. I'm doing it all together. It's something that I do every single day. If you're trying to incorporate journaling, put the journal next to your bed so that as soon as you get in bed, before you go to bed, you're writing down what you're grateful for. Or as soon as you get up in the morning, you're doing some journaling, some just free flow of what's coming to mind as soon as you wake up. Just incorporate what you're wanting to do with something else that you're already doing. It's called habit stacking, and it works. If you are someone who's struggling in the social area, I would encourage you to send a short text, a short voice memo, something simple as a way to connect with someone who is important to you. Doesn't have to be a phone call, though a phone call can be a really good thing, but push yourself to send at least one message or reach out to at least one person this week or today so that you can start that connection piece. It's very tempting for us to pull away, but we actually need more connection when we are struggling. And then for spirituality, I love to encourage this because it is science backed. It truly helps. Practicing gratitude is so profound when it comes to your spiritual health and wellness. And it can be as simple as writing one thing down that you're grateful for, sharing one thing that you're grateful for, at the dinner table when everybody's together. What was the best part of your day? Or what are you grateful for today? This week, when we did our team meeting at work, I asked everybody to close out with sharing one thing that they were grateful for in the past week or for coming up over the weekend. And it's such a little thing, but it's a really nice way of reminding yourself of all the good that is in your life. And a lot of times people think that practicing gratitude means that we're discounting or ignoring the hardships, and that is not true at all. But even when there are really, really hard things going on in our life, there are still moments that we can be grateful for, relationships that we can be grateful for. There's always something that you can find gratitude for. So practice that gratitude. The other thing that you can do is create space for awe or experiences of awe. So whether that's through meditation or prayer, listening to some music that's going to be uplifting to you. For me, that usually includes getting outside and doing something in nature. I have this fence of flowers at our house, and they're passion flowers. And if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen me share some pictures of this, and I'll share some more this week. So if you're listening when this is posted, you'll be able to see them. But they're the most beautiful, crazy looking flowers. They look like an alien flower, is what I joke, because they've got this like cool, like spindly tendrils or something. I don't even know what they're called. The petals open up and they've got these cool, funky purple things, and then these little yellow pollen pieces in the middle. I'm sure that's a scientific word, pollen pieces. And they're just absolutely gorgeous, and they smell good. And the plant is just thriving over there. So there's 10 or 15 flowers every day, and they only last a day. Anyways, I could go on and on about these passion flowers. I think they're absolutely beautiful. For me, going outside, looking at that, just standing out there for a few minutes and really enjoying them is a fun way to incorporate a sense of awe or connection with nature. That's what works for me, especially if I'm finding myself stressed or overwhelmed. Stepping outside, walking around in the grass for a bit, enjoying the breeze, listening to the birds, looking at the flowers, that is my way of connecting, or going and seeing the water. But whatever that is for you, I'd encourage you to create those opportunities for awe. If we're sitting inside, scrolling on our phone, watching TV all the time, and we're never connecting with nature, that is such an unnatural way to live as humans. We are supposed to be connected with nature. And thank goodness for AC, but we've created an opportunity for us to just be inside all the time and be completely disconnected with nature. And that is not healthy or natural for us. So I'd encourage you to get out and experience that sense of awe as much as you can. So again, as you can see, all of these things, they're really, really helpful. They don't cost a lot of money. They don't take a lot of time. It's not a huge overhaul. It is just little changes that you can make that add up over time to really help you feel connected. Life is going to be hard. You're going to feel overwhelmed at times. You're going to feel stuck at times. It's okay. When you notice those symptoms, tune in, say, hey, I'm struggling here. There's something that I can do. For me, taking some time off in July, focusing on time with my family, focusing on getting things settled and structured in my life again, and reconnecting with the things that I actually enjoy, giving myself time and space to do that. Really, really helpful. And I'm glad I did it. And if you're in that place of feeling stuck or overwhelmed right now, it's okay for you to press pause on some things, to step back and really reset. Okay. And you can do these simple things today. It does not have to be something you have to wait on or plan for or anything like that. You can start implementing these things today. Okay, so if you're listening to all of this and you're like, Melissa, this sounds really great, but where do I start? This feels really overwhelming. That's okay. I did create something called the 5-day whole person wellness reset. It's a guide that's going to walk you through with structure to do some reflection on each of these areas, give you specific directions on how to identify where to start and then what to do based on those areas. Okay. So each day is going to walk you through, well, I guess one day each for biological, psychological, social, spiritual, and then a full kind of like week at a glance to put these things into practice. And it's really helpful. I made it super affordable, less than $10, so anybody can do this. And I really think that you'll enjoy it. So if you need something that's a little bit more structured, check that out. I'm going to leave that link for you down in the show notes as well. The other nice thing about that reset guide is that it's something you can use over and over again. So it's not something that it's one and done and then you have to like go back and repurchase it. It's not like that. So you can print it out, use it as many times as you would like to. And I think you'll find it really helpful. Okay, so with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode. But just remember that if you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed, whatever it might be, that's a very normal part of life. It's not very pleasant and we don't enjoy it, but it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you handled things the wrong way. It's just a natural part of life sometimes. So the important thing is that you notice when that's happening. You see those signs or symptoms, those red flag issues coming up, and then you choose to do something about it. Now, if you feel like you can do that on your own, fabulous. If you feel like you need to ask for some help, feel free to ask for some help. That's a good thing to do. And you can take these small baby steps to start building that momentum to get you on the right track to feeling well again. Okay. If you decide to try just one of these things that we talked about today, I would love to hear from you about how that goes. Please either comment wherever you're watching or listening to this to let me know, or send me a DM on Instagram. But I love to hear that you're implementing it or that it's useful. I would love to see what you're doing and how it's impacting your life. If this is something that you enjoyed and you think someone else might enjoy it as well, please share the podcast episode with others. Let them know that you're thinking about them and give them an opportunity to hit that reset button in their life as well. As always, I really appreciate it if you give this a thumbs up or a positive rating wherever you're listening, whatever platform that is. That's a big help to me as I'm trying to grow the podcast. And if you're not following me on Instagram already, please go and do that. I'm growing the following over there slowly but steadily. And it's just a nice way for me to be able to connect with you on a daily basis and kind of share some encouragement and some tips throughout the week. Just remember that no matter how hard this is, you are absolutely worth it. And this work is going to be beneficial to you in the long run. These do not have to be big, scary, daunting tasks. They're little things that you can implement that are going to make a big difference for you. And the more you stack on, the better you're going to feel. So take it one step at a time, do what you can, keep it manageable, keep it simple, and take care of you because you are absolutely worth it. You are worth hitting the reset button. The version of you after the reset is going to be very thankful and very appreciative of that opportunity to do so. So with all that being said, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I'm cheering you on. We are doing this together. So until next time, take care of yourself and be well.